Hi there, I'm Short Red. I'd like to welcome you to the first part of my 32-part series on being green in a green world. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that's very near and dear to me, composting. Now, composting is a practice that dates back to the early Roman era. And in today's post-apocalyptic world, it hasn't changed that much. Traditionally, composting was to pile organic materials, your rotting fruits and vegetables, let them stand for about a year, or at least until the next planting season, at which point the materials are ready to be used as a soil application. But today I'd like to share with you the do's and don'ts of how to compost the living dead. And here to help me today is my good friend Restless 10101. As you can see, Restless is a zombie, and from his rate of decomposition, he's been dead about 3 months. Shame on you, Best Red. The first thing I'm going to show you today is how to render your zombie completely unresponsive. Some people like to use a large blunt object to get their zombies to a permanent vegetative state. Some people like this method because it gives the composter a good cardio workout as well as toning the upper body. I tend to avoid this due to an accident I had back in university where I dislocated my shoulder. It's never been the same since. Composting was somewhat modernized in the early 1920s in Europe as a tool for organic farming. The first industrial station for the transformation of urban organic materials into compost was in Austria in 1921. Some people like to dispatch their zombies with farm tools like a scythe or a machete. But for the smaller gardener like myself, it's hard to generate enough torque to bring a zombie down. Personally, I like to use something a little more reliable. A gun. Some people ask me what are the best types of undead to use for composting. I like to stick to the basics. Zombies. Vampires tend to be very poor for the purpose of composting. Either you get them in bat form, which doesn't make very much compost, or if they're in human form, they tend to disintegrate once the sun hits them. Composting organisms require 4 equally important things to work effectively: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and water. Certain ratios of these elements will provide beneficial bacteria with the nutrients to work at a rate that will heat up the pile. Another important tip to ensure that your compost heap doesn't get out of hand is to make sure your zombie's dead. You remember Restless here. What a mess. You can remember I shot him in the head. Just because you shoot a zombie in the head doesn't mean that you shot him in the brain. The brain needs to be destroyed for the zombie to be rendered incapacitated. I might have just nicked his brain, but I doubt that because he didn't have that many to begin with. I most likely shot him through the mouth or the ear and missed his brain completely. I find the best way to ensure that your zombie will stay in the compost heap and not dragging everything all over the garden is to decapitate them. Now, axes are okay, but I prefer the tried and true method of a chainsaw. The best way to get the chainsaw through the neck of your zombie is to locate any of the cervical vertebrae. Place the chainsaw between them and just push down slowly. Do all the work for you. I'm just using just a little bit of pressure and it's cutting like a hot knife through butter. And remember, always use all of your safety equipment when operating power tools. And that just about sums it up. Thank you all for tuning in to our first episode of Being Green in a Green World, and I hope you can join us next time where we try to unwrap the problem of reducing greenhouse gases from mummies. Thanks for joining us.